Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web. Today, I'm John, that's my cohort in commentary, Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And tonight's NXT saw an NXT championship bout between Finn Balor and Apollo Crews, where the winner, at least apparently, seemed to be Greed. Yes, we got some revelations on tonight's show, some ground laid for next week. All in all, I feel like this is a very productive episode of NXT, and I had a lot of fun along the way. What about you, Ashton?
You know, what's really great is that every now and then when you're holding in that long, the best, you get a little bit of a robot voice, and it just sounds like auto-tune.
Ah, well, isn't that charming?
Yeah.
So,
there you go. But as far as this NXT goes, I feel like this was your prototypical picket fence show. It had a solid opener, lots of kind of middle of the road, interesting but nothing overly exciting stuff in the middle, and then a really strong finish.
I would agree with that assessment entirely. Yeah, I feel like this episode really checked off all the boxes with a particularly strong main event. And again, for me, the intrigue lies more in next week with how they set that ground up, rather than anything going on in the present, again, save for that main event segment and all the fallout from it. So yeah, a good hour indeed.
Absolutely. So do you want to get right into it?
Yes, let us roll right on to our first segment. Heat of the night. No heats of the night tonight. No nitpicks. Harmless hour, fun hour. Nothing more you could say than that. What about you, Ashton?
You know, I don't have any heats of the night, and honestly, I don't even really have any nitpicks, but I do want to point out that I didn't think I would, but as it turns out, I actually noticed the lack of Devin Taylor on the show. Tom Phillips, being the interviewer for every single interview, got kind of redundant.
Yeah. You know, Devin Taylor certainly had a presence when it came to being that backstage, interviewer. I like Tom Phillips. I think he's a great guy. He's a great personality too, but I think it's going to be like an adjustment period for everybody that was so used to Devin in that role. And I don't think Tom did bad tonight by any means, but I can certainly see, what you're saying, especially, when he interviewed Emma and Dana Brooke. You kind of wanted Devin Taylor there, especially with a line that Dana Brooke had in this promo that she gave tonight. And yeah, I agree with you. Her absence was definitely felt, but I think we'll all adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, though, I don't have anything else.
Then let us roll right on through to our NXT review. And buddy, how do we open this one up?
With a match, believe it or not. We open this up with Asuka, whose music is absolutely incredible. However much of a ripoff of 21st Century Schizoid Man it is, it's still incredible. And her opponent, a big surprise to me. I'm sitting here thinking it's probably going to be Billie Kay, but no, it's freaking Cameron.
Yes, a shock to me as well. It feels like forever since we've seen Cameron, and believe me.
And I think that absence paid off, because I might be going out on a limb here. I don't feel like I am, but I think this was Cameron's best match ever.
I would agree. Yeah, I think her work was solid here. She really didn't do anything offensive. I mean, you really can't top trying to pin somebody while they're on their stomach rather than while they're on their back.
And it's also worth noting, Cameron was rocking all purple everything tonight.
Indeed she was, yes. I liked her here. Asuka continues to impress. The crowd is so behind her. I love her energy in the ring. After every move, it's kind of like a taunt or like a wicked smile or something. Asuka very animated in the ring, and that's something that I didn't really expect from her.
That's why she got signed. She got signed because, here's the thing, John. There are dozens of Japanese female wrestlers that the WWE could have grabbed and brought over and acclimated into the WWE style, and they would have been just as amazing as far as just pure technical wrestling and strikes and stuff like that as Asuka. What makes Asuka special, what makes her stand apart from the rest of the field over in Japan, is her ability to emote, her ability to overcome the language barrier through facial expressions and body language.
And that's certainly evident. I mean, from her arrival, you can already see that payoff
And
in
that's
that
something
regard.
that she was really well known for in Japan too.
Well, I'm just glad that it's carried over here because, man,
Exactly.
it's so wonderful to watch. And Asuka again, like, she's a baby face, but she's a baby face that just revels in the punishment she inflicts on others, and I find that refreshing because that's so dominantly to me a heel trait. When you see a heel just really in the moment, like, oh, look at the suffering I'm inflicting on this person, whatever. But with Asuka, she finds a way to almost, I don't want to say necessarily make it light, but make it like relatable, make it a connection worth having with the crowd. I think she's a great asset to the division. She wins with the Asuka lock here. Keeps rolling on. We know the confrontation with Emma is inevitable. I don't know if they want to save that for the UK show or just on a future episode of NXT. I'd be cool with either because I think those two will put on an incredible match. But yeah, for the time being, Asuka just continues to roll on and be impressive.
Yeah, I think this was actually my second favorite match of the night behind the main event, believe it or not.
I would agree with you there. Yeah, this was a lot of fun to watch, certainly.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I know that we love to give all the credit to Asuka, but I've got to give some credit to Cameron. A combination of a lot of things actually. The slap that she went for that Asuka countered into a ridiculous rollover armbar, that was great. The scream, she screamed out of her freaking lungs at Asuka when Asuka taunted her with her own taunt.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really good. And then some of her strikes looked good, and I think the most important thing is her selling was on point tonight.
I gotta say, I don't know if you heard about this, but I think it's as relevant as it's ever gonna be. I actually saw an article get put up, and Cameron had this, I think it was an Instagram post, and she was in tears because I think she really does, to give her credit, because I know a lot of the time when you get the Evas, the Camerons, all that, our first thing is, kind of sandbag them, give them a hard time. But she was in tears. She was very emotional because she just wanted another chance to really show everybody what she can do, and she wants to get good at this, and she does want to be here. And you can already see the improvements, against somebody like Asuka. Now, I think Cameron is exactly where she needs to be. I think her being in NXT, getting to take advantage of everything that's at the Performance Center, she can really hone her craft, and maybe she'll become, a passable, heel women's worker. Maybe she'll even go beyond passable. You never know in this business. Stranger things have happened. But I do have to agree with you. Credit certainly deserves to be given to her. She had all this time off. I'm presuming she was training the whole time. Again, just thinking back to that video post she had. She's probably been putting in the work. And we say the payoff when she climbs in the ring with somebody like Asuka, and she really doesn't look that out of place. So, good for Cameron.
Yeah, and I think this, if anything, this almost tells me that maybe we shouldn't give up on Eva Marie just yet.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, with the amount of experience that Eva Marie has right now, that's about how much experience Cameron had 2 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Cameron's been around for 4 years now, and we're only really starting to see improvements now. Eva Marie's only been around for 2 years.
I mean, that's the crazy thing about the business, Ash, and you know it as well as I do. I mean, you've been watching it just as long as I have. You get some people that come into this business and they take to it like a fish to water.
Chad Gable.
Others, beg pardon?
Chad Gable.
Yeah, Chad Gable. Others, it's a bit more of a grind and a bit more of a process. But here's the crazy thing. I think the end result for both of those, when they both pan out, the fish to water and the person that's got to grind at it, they're both equally rewarding. Because I think the person that grinds at it can be just as good, if not better in some areas, than the guy that was quote-unquote born to do this.
Right.
And I'm willing to give Cameron and Eva that time. It doesn't mean that they'll, not always have to take me kicking and screaming to the destination, because sometimes it'll just be painful to watch, but we will watch, and we will be a part of that process. I think that's one of the best parts of NXT, honestly, that we don't really talk about much, is being able to watch this process, this growth. One of the things that immediately comes to mind, watching Sasha get no TV time, then she gets this match with Paige where she sets the world on fire, has this heel, be born, and then ultimately she becomes the boss. Watching somebody grow is incredibly enriching, and I hope we see that with Cameron and Eva, but only time will tell.
Yeah. I feel like Eva Marie, I think that the reason that we've felt so detached as far as she goes is because of the rumors of her getting this massive push that we all know that she doesn't deserve. And that it's like a freaking anchor, man. It doesn't matter how good you get unless you get up to freaking Sasha Banks level in that amount of time, which just doesn't happen often, which I'm going to throw that out there too. Sasha Banks is an example of a fish in water because she picked this up so quickly. I don't think she's even 23 yet, I don't think, and she's probably the best female wrestler on the planet right now. But regardless, I think that Eva Marie's improvement is going to happen. I just think that the issue is they need to just reel her back. They need to stop making it seem like they're trying to turn her into the next big thing, because the fans reject that. And we as fans, I'm not even trying to call out an entire group of people that we don't necessarily belong to. I'm including us in this.
Yeah.
We reject that. If you show us something that we don't naturally take to and you tell us this is going to be the next best thing, we're going to reject it. It's in our nature to reject things that we don't naturally take to that you tell us we should.
And I understand, at the risk of, because I don't want to make it seem like one group of people is on their high horse and the other one isn't, but I think it's so much worse when you're talking about something that's really become as near and dear to us as the NXT women's division.
Yes, that's exactly right, too, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like those feelings, they just get exacerbated tenfold, because you look at the state of the NXT women's division, you look at who the current champion is, and you're thinking, okay, even with the departures of Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha, like, we're still in a good place, because you've got Alexa Bliss really coming into her own. Bayley's the champion. Nia Jax is going to be a great monster. Just all these up-and-coming
we're defensive.
Peyton Royce, Billie Kay. Yeah, exactly. All these great pieces, and then you see Eva, and you're like, oh, like this strong resistance, as you were saying.
And then the whole thing is, and I don't know, I shouldn't speak for everyone here, I'm just going to say personally, my natural response is trying to figure out why they're pushing her. What does she do that nobody else can do? And the answer to that question right now is nothing.
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head. Honestly, there's nothing more I can even say. If you want to move on, we can move on. Because I think that's the perfect summation to it. Just
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then up next, we had a Tom Phillips interview, the first of 4 throughout the night. This was with Carmella, but she was quickly interrupted by Dash and Dawson, the mechanics. They talk about putting Cass, well, apparently Cass sprained his MCL, and they're talking about, oh, is that it? It's just a sprained MCL? And they're kind of talking trash there. And they talk about how they, they're sad that they didn't do it sooner. They wish they would have done it earlier. And that they were going to have now an NXT Tag Team Championship match, I think next week, right, John?
Yes. Yeah,
and
next week.
That's definitely got some prospects, because these guys are legit.
You know what I love about the mechanics is that I think if you look at these guys, maybe just like one clip in their look, maybe you wouldn't think that they're competent, at talking, but I actually think they're quite good at it. In fact, I could imagine
especially Scott Dawson.
Agreed. I actually think, Ashton, that this team will go down as probably one of the most underrated teams in terms of talking, because I don't think that's what they'll really be known for, and nor should they, because, right. they're throwbacks. They like beating people up, which I just absolutely love. I mean, just look at our review last week, and that's all that needs to be said. But, this was great. I loved it. It was short, sweet, to the point. You have Carmella promising vengeance. Already you have that intrigue of the babyfaces making the comeback and picking up where they left off with the mechanics, and, and Enzo and Cass. You have the mechanics pretty much showing the Vaudevillains, we're coming for the titles. We're serious. This is our moment. And then the wheelchair for the symbolism and the prop. It's funny, because I do think props can have their place in promos, depending on where they fit. I think it was perfect. It didn't feel forced. It felt completely organic, given what they did to Colin Cassidy, the week prior. I thought this promo was great. Very productive. I think it accomplished a lot.
Yeah, and, man, the more I see these guys, the more they remind me of the Brainbusters.
And that's the comparison, actually. A lot of people liken the mechanics to the Brainbusters. I've seen, on YouTube comments on, the recaps of, what they did on that particular episode of NXT. Like when they shattered Colin Cassidy's leg. I saw a lot of people say, man, these guys are just like the Brainbusters, or they remind me of the Brainbusters. And that's what they wanted. You know, when they came together, it's like, that's the kind of team we want to be. So to see them in this spotlight, again, I would not mind if they beat the Vaudevillains next week. And I'm a huge Vaudevillains fan, and nobody can deny the mechanics. Their stock is going up. And let me be the first to say it's about damn time. Because these guys are great at what they do. And let me tell you something. At the trajectory they're going, because see, the best part to me, if we're looking at it in a non-kayfabe sense of being a heel, is when you're good enough to know that you could give a legitimate rub to a babyface. And if these guys keep on this trajectory of just being this malicious and this vile, the babyface team that knocks them off the perch, it's going to be one hell of a moment. So, great stuff.
Yeah, these guys are great. I really enjoy their work, both in the ring and on the mic. So, up next, speaking of promos and speaking of teams that I enjoy mic work from, Gable and Jordan have a promo as well.
Oh, my God.
They aren't champions yet, and they're disappointed about that, but Gable says, don't worry about it, man. All we got to do is keep on working ourselves up the ladder, proving that we are the best tag team around. And we even had a little bit of a world's greatest tag team tease here, a little bit of a goof. And of course, Gable was just like, no. Or Jordan was just like, no, man, you can't say that. And they say, you know what we should do? No, this is what was great. I loved this. Jordan goes, we should challenge the best tag team in NXT history. And Gable's just like, no, man, that's a terrible idea. We can't wrestle ourselves.
Oh, my God.
And then Jordan's just like, no, I mean the most dominant tag team, the longest reigning NXT tag team champions of all time, the Ascension. So they throw the challenge out. They throw down the gauntlet, John. Gable and Jordan challenging the Ascension to a match. Hopefully, I don't know for sure, but hopefully next week.
Dude, let me just start out by saying, I don't know if any of you guys, any of you listening, have joined TWitWoW, as I always request you do at the end of our reviews. If you haven't, go do it. It's a great pro wrestling community. But two, you may have seen my post, my ode to Gable and Jordan, where I said that these guys, like, and Ashton can tell you, I've been looking, really trying to force myself to find people to fill the void of the Benoits and the Morrisons, like finding that WWE guy, that equivalent. And I said, like, Gable and Jordan have just been doing it with the greatest of ease. Like, these guys bring me back to a time in my wrestling fandom where it was just all excitement, all fun, all the time. I have the best time watching these guys, whether it's in the ring suplexing people on the mat or outside of it showing their personalities. I love this promo. Chad Gable oozes that charisma. And let me tell you something, too, to give Jason Jordan some credit, since we're feeling pretty generous. You know, we gave Cameron some credit earlier. I think Jason Jordan plays off of Chad Gable incredibly well. Like, they're really perfect for each other. They really are.
So the Ascension don't show up unless you're ready. Do the next thing.
Willing.
And Gable.
Yeah, and before he even says and Gable, because I love how Chad Gable, and I say this, you know, with all the affection in the world.
That was like, awesome.
Yeah, he's like a little kid, you know, being so excited teaming with Jason Jordan, because when Jordan says willing, like anytime Jordan goes along with the shtick, Gable's eyes just light up. He's like so sick, like he's so into it, and I'm so into these guys. I'm telling you, I wouldn't just call them my favorite tag team in NXT. I wouldn't even call them my favorite tag team, period. I would call them my favorite act, period. Like, I'm really falling in love with these guys hard, and I want to see them beat the Ascension. I want to see them beat tag team.
And the crazy thing is, like, I know you're talking about a promo, and it feels like you're talking about how you're falling in love with their promo, but they're so good in the ring, too.
They aren't the only ones disappointed that they're not tag team champions. Yeah. Like, they're like, oh man, I'm so bummed out. I'm just sitting here like, me too. Like, somebody console me.
Dude,
but
the fact that we have the distinct possibility of the Mechanics winning the tag titles next week and getting a Mechanics versus Gable and Jordan match at NXT TakeOver London blows my mind.
Do not tease me. I cannot have the explosion like live on air.
Whether it's at NXT TakeOver London or not, it's going to happen eventually, and it's going to be for the tag titles.
That could potentially be a match of the year contender. That's a tag team title match, people. Like, oh my god. But yeah, I love this. I love that these guys are focused. The crowd has just really embraced them. And again, this promo, Chad Gable showing all the charisma. Jordan's the perfect complement to that. I would like to see Jordan talk a little bit more. But honestly, I think they've got a good balance right now with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, them versus the Ascension, I think it's going to be a great contrast to styles. I can't wait for that match. And like I said in my Tweet-Off post, as far as the NXT Tag Team titles are concerned and them winning it, I am so ready, willing, and Gable for that.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. My question though is, who are the mechanics going to isolate, and what body part are they going to pick on?
I'll take a stab at that. I think that they're going to isolate Aiden English, and
No, I'm talking about in their match with Jordan and Gable. That's inevitable.
They'll probably isolate. You know what? I'm thinking they'll probably isolate Gable.
Because he's smaller, yeah.
And they'll probably take out the arm, because he's known for Greco-Roman, and in Greco-Roman you can't use your legs. That's freestyle. Greco-Roman you can only use your arms and your upper body strength. So knowing that, they'll probably target one of his arms.
Hey John, guess what?
What?
You're freaking smart, man.
I know, right? Well, I'm just really into amateur wrestling, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's funny. For those of you that don't know, John actually knows how amateur wrestling scoring works. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm probably a little hazy on the rules by now because it's been a while since I've watched a matchup, but I can't wait for the Summer Olympics this year. It's going to be really fun to watch that.
Oh, wow. I learned even more about you there. Let's move on, though, before we get caught up in an alternative timeline where we talk about nothing but Jordan and Gable.
But is that so bad, though?
No, it's not, but we need to avoid it for now.
You're right. Damn it.
And then the sad thing is we have to move on to just worse content, just period. Bull Dempsey versus Angelo Dawkins.
No, that alternate timeline you were talking about a few seconds ago. Is it too late to go back?
Yeah, it is.
Damn it. Why did you do it, man? Oh. All right. Well, you know what? In all seriousness, this wasn't really that bad. You know what?
The bad part is that they're pushing Bull Dempsey. That's it.
Yeah, the bad part is that they're pushing Bull Dempsey, but I guess the intriguing part, and I do use the word intriguing because it carries neither positive or negative connotation, is, Sawyer Fulton in this whole
I'm not
split-up.
even joking, dude. When Sawyer Fulton's name came up on the Titantron and I thought it was going to be him versus Dempsey, I marked out a little bit. Because that's a Haas fight that I would like to see.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Angelo Dawkins is a big guy, but he's not like that big Haas, big, thick son of a gun like Dempsey and Fulton.
And you know what? You know what's funny, though? Because as far as the match goes, guys, I really got nothing to say about it. I mean, it was Bull Dempsey getting his stuff in and ultimately getting the win over Angelo.
It was Bull Dempsey winning by being fat.
More or less, yes. The interesting thing is the breakups that we've seen on NXT between Jordan and Ty Dillinger and now Angelo Dawkins and Sawyer Fulton, they're kind of passive, like they just look irritated and they leave. There's no assault, there's no anything. I kind of like that. It's like,
You know what though? My question is, was this the official breakup? Because I could see another segment in a week or two where it's Bull Dempsey versus Sawyer Fulton. Fulton wins, and then when he and Dawkins are celebrating, he attacks Dawkins to cut it off for real.
See, now it's funny you mentioned that, Ashton, because I was going to mention later in this personal review of this segment the potential of Sawyer Fulton facing Bull even as early as maybe next week or like 2 weeks from now because we have that whole roster rotation. And I agree with you. I think that would be a great setup because he could be like getting the win. He could be all fired up in the moment and be like, yeah, that's how it's done. And then he sees Angelo Dawkins and he's like, oh, him. And then he just takes care of it by way of a heel turn.
Yeah, I like that. That's an idea I can get behind.
It's like he looks at Angelo Dawkins and he sees the only thing in the way of a singles push.
It's so crazy too because I've never seen anything in Sawyer Fulton, but the new hairdo and the new attitude and the new attire all kind of come together and make me want him to get a singles push. And that's the thing too, is like, I always thought that I would become an Angelo Dawkins fan because I loved the hipster gimmick that he worked for a while. But now he's just a blank slate. He's completely personality-less, if that's a word. And I appreciate the athleticism, but I really just want to see Sawyer Fulton at this point getting some kind of push.
Yeah, and I'm with you.
Mark that down on the list of things I never thought I'd hear myself say, because that's I've never seen anything in Sawyer Fulton, and I just said that.
Okay, well, I got my pen, I got my clipboard, and you can consider it marked, my friend.
Yeah, I think part of it, too, is finding out that the dude's 6'8". Like, you can work with that. He is huge.
Well, see, actually, hearing you say all
He's bigger
that...
than Baron Corbin, John.
Yeah, I mean, hearing you say all this, dude, it brings to mind a Q&A that Dolph Ziggler actually did recently on Twitter, and somebody asked him what the least important aspect of the wrestling business is, and Dolph replied, wrestling is the least important aspect of the wrestling business.
Well, yeah, didn't we listen to a Jake the Snake Roberts interview where he had said the same thing?
Yeah, so, I mean, what I'm getting at is it's a common sentiment even among, contemporary pro wrestlers, not just these old-timers. It's not an old sentiment. Yeah. And, you look at Sawyer Fulton...
And yet the WWE thinks that putting on 7 matches as a part of a tournament on one episode of Raw is going to draw viewers in.
Exactly, and it's still on the dip, man. But,
yeah, I heard this week hit like an all-new low, too, so congrats on Vince.
Yeah, it just keeps diminishing their numbers. But anyway... you look at Sawyer Fulton, you look at the height, you look at the look and everything else, and you said, like, you got the haircut, the attitude, everything.
Aggression.
Yeah, the aggression, like, his refined look, I think, has given him a whole new appeal. Yeah. And now if he could just back that up in ring, absolutely you could have, a pretty solid heel character. Now, how far that character could go, I think, is up to Sawyer Fulton and the creative capabilities of the powers that be see in him. But he's certainly got a unique opportunity here. Angelo Dawkins, on the other hand, to your point, being void of personality, being, as you said, a blank slate, his future, I think, is more indeterminate. We don't really know where he is. But yeah, Sawyer Fulton could very well be on the way up. So
yeah, I don't dislike Angelo Dawkins, but to me, he's just a less charismatic Percy Watson.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from him with the hipster gimmick. That's kind of, I mean, that was the thing you liked. I just really couldn't get into it even then. I will say though, maybe there is some potential in Angelo Dawkins just being that kind of like chill guy, like the way he handled that loss with him and Sawyer Fulton. And he's like, nah, man, you know how I get, but he's just like so almost stoic about it. Maybe you could explore a little something with that. But yeah, I just think the focus right now is on Sawyer Fulton.
And when I think of somebody that's stoic after a loss, I think psychopath.
Yeah, there you go.
And I don't think Dawkins has the range to pull that off, at least not right now.
Right. But yeah, let's hope that Sawyer Fulton can seize the ball and run with it, and where Angelo Dawkins goes, I mean, is anybody's guess. So
yeah, absolutely. Up next, we had another Tom Phillips interview with the Vaudevillains. Of course, I forgot to mention earlier about how Dash Dawson brought out a wheelchair and told the Vaudevillains that they were going to need it. And now Tom Phillips tells them about that, and they kind of brush it off.
Yeah, I think they wanted to present an air of confidence being the champions. They gave Dash and Dawson their due. So, they did say they're going to be our toughest challenge to date, which I like that. So at least they acknowledge them in that respect. But, I mean, hell, in the promo, Aiden English literally takes the chair, by the handlebars, and he just, throws it, pretty much like wheels it out of sight, and it crashes into something. And he's like, indubitably. So you've got
those pieces of equipment that it crashed into.
Exactly. So yeah, Vaudevillains going in confident, saying, we don't like how Dawson and Dash, they do things, taking the shortcuts, picking people apart, this and that.
They're not gentlemen.
And they're not gentlemen. The cardinal sin for the Vaudevillains. They're not gentlemen. And yeah, I mean, I like the promo. But you know what? Let me tell you something again. Whether it be talking or in the ring, the Mechanics stock is going up, and the Vaudevillains, they really haven't had that pop, with being champions that I wanted them to have. I mean, they only really had the return match against Blake and Murphy, and ever since they've just been kind of coasting along. So maybe it is time. The
pop was the win in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Title win at Brooklyn. That was the peak of their title run.
Yeah, exactly. The achievement and the peak all in the same night. So it may be time for a bit of a switch up here. I mean, we'll see. Next week's going to be very interesting.
Yep. They're either going to have some kind of a screwy finish or they're going to pull a blurfy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. But up next, we had another Tom Phillips interview. And when it was immediately following the Vaudevillains interview and the Vaudevillains were in sight, we knew we were doomed. Tom Phillips interview with Bayley. Asks about who her partners are going to be to face Banff, and the Hype Bros show up, and I gag a little.
Hey, do you want to hear something that's going to pain you inside?
The existence of this team?
Well, that already stabs me like 1,000 needles straight in the cornea. But I was actually going to mention when Bayley was looking for partners, she actually reached out to Hideo and she's like, "What about you? Are you 100%?" And he said, "Interested." So it could have been Hideo, Ashton. You could have had Hideo back next week, and instead you've got the Hype Bros. Doesn't that hurt? Is that like a kick right in your groin? Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, when you guys have that in mind, just remember that we got this instead. And yeah, I'm incredibly
Well, why didn't she ever follow up with Hideo?
Maybe Hideo wasn't ready, Ashton. Maybe Hideo
He said he
wasn't
was. He said he was interested.
Well, maybe not interested enough, I guess.
God,
So
I didn't think Bayley would need subtitles for plain English.
well, she got the Hype Bros, and even though she played along and had a good laugh, I bet she's dying inside just as much as we are.
No, John, you're wrong. You're using present tense. She's already dead inside now.
It's like, well, I wanted to win this match, but it's probably not going to happen. So, I mean, I can already tell you, with partners as weak as the Hype Bros, Alexa Bliss is going to pin Bayley next week. Because I think that's how they're going to legitimize her claim to a title shot.
Yeah.
She's probably going to pin Bayley next week. It's going to be all the Hype Bros' fault because they suck and they need to go away.
And she's probably going to do it with the tights or with her
Exactly.
or some kind of cheaty something like that and getting away with something.
Exactly. Or because I do expect them to play a role in the actual title match, so you might as well establish that ground now. You watch. Blake or Murphy or both of them, they're going to do something to, like, trip up Bayley, and Alexa Bliss is going to capitalize, and when Bayley's wondering, where are my partners, they're going to be busy woo-woo-wooing their asses off and being useless. Poor Bayley, man. Poor Bayley.
Poor Bayley.
Poor us, because we're still not getting Hideo. I mean, wow.
You know, John, I would feel worse for Bayley, but this really makes me call into question her judgment.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, you had Hideo there, and you didn't take advantage of it. I don't know why.
You looked at Hideo Itami, and you said, you know, he's cool. He's a badass and everything, but I could have this jackass over here and his woo-woo-woo buddy. And you went with option 2.
You sound like a disappointed father right now. You sound like you're just like, Bayley, I can't believe you went so wrong. Oh, man. Well, when she loses, it'll be on her. I won't even feel any sympathy, and that's wrong because she's the baby face. But no, Bayley, you really have poor taste in partners, so there you go. So what came after this?
I feel like I just watched somebody on Price is Right choose a dinette set over a new car.
I know, right? It's like, man, that car could get me everywhere I need to go, and mine's on its last legs, but that dinnerware, though?
That fine china? It's not even china either. I think it's glass.
And then we're all busy thinking about Bayley's feelings. Let's spare a moment to think about Hideo's feelings.
You're trying to win melted sand, Bayley. What's your problem?
Poor Hideo must have been like, man, it was so nice of Bayley to extend that offer to me to come team with her. I can't wait to get back in there. Hype Bros. Aww. Oh, Hideo. So, anything else you want to say about the subject?
No, I don't have a soul anymore.
I don't either. I'm just really glad that I brought that up because, I mean, you probably would have gotten through this segment unscathed, and of course I couldn't allow that to happen. So, yeah, now I've devastated everyone. So.
I'm glad you did too, though, John, because I would never want you to lie by omission.
Well, there you go.
So, up next was our third match of the night, Eva Marie versus Gionna Daddio.
Yeah, but here's my question, Ashton. Maybe I'm just going crazy.
Yes.
Was it just me, or were they chanting Carly for the opposition? Like,
yeah! I even have in my notes, I think the fans were chanting for Harley. So either one, it sounded like, yeah. And I also saw on Reddit, apparently the fans were chanting, please don't hurt her, to Eva.
Right. I don't know, bro.
She's so bad. She's got such a reputation for being dangerous on the ring at this point. The fans even know it.
I think the fans just love screwing with Eva so much. I mean, even when they compliment her, they still make it, like, belittling. Like that live event match she had a while back with Bayley, and they were chanting, Eva's learning.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I will say this, though. This Gionna Daddio, or Daddio, her Twitter name is Who's Your Daddio, which is just immediately I'm in love, but
yeah.
but she's an instant fan favorite. The crowd loved her. You can go on Reddit. The Reddit crowd loves her. The chat that we were watching this video on, they loved her. There were Trish Stratus comparisons, and she even pulled out the Matrix thing that Trish used to do. And yeah, man, I think we might have witnessed almost like a birth of a freaking megastar here in Gionna.
You know, it's so funny, Ashton, because anybody that Eva climbs in the ring with, they always look better than she does, and she's the one trying to get over.
Dude, like, I couldn't even tell what her finisher was. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be like a knee to the face, or if she slipped and accidentally DDT'd Gionna, or if she was trying to DDT Gionna and it just looked that bad. I couldn't tell.
I think it was like a seated or like kneeled, at least on the part of Gionna, like complete shot from Eva, or like flatliner or something. It looked like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
It was bad. I mean, here's the thing. How do I put this without sounding terrible? It's a real struggle. So it looked better than sliced bread number 2, but that's not saying much.
Exactly. You know, it really says
sliced bread number 2, it looked like her opponent was doing more of the work to do the move to themselves than she was to do it to them.
You know, I mean, let me just put it to you guys in a way that I'm sure you can all understand and appreciate, coming from me personally, because I know there are some commenters we have that actually like this side of my personality, which I'm more scared for you guys than I am for myself. I mean, when I could be the first guy to point and laugh at the suffering of Colin Cassidy, and believe me, it was hilarious, but not wish...
You really enjoyed getting to watch it a second time tonight.
It was great. I'm telling you, like I said laughing last week, his career's over.
Oh,
but,
God.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't wish the suffering caused by watching Eva Marie wrestle on anyone. Now let that sink in for a second. Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm telling
you, Cassidy, screw your MCL. But people watching Eva Marie, empathy.
Exactly. I mean, he couldn't have put it any better, people. That's why he's here. But, you know, like I said, on a more sincere note, Ashton, I don't want to say it's...
Dude, on a more sincere note, it doesn't get any more sincere than what you just said.
Yeah, I pretty much told a guy, screw the fact that your livelihood's in jeopardy, I'm the real victim here. Yeah. Which, to be honest, is really a classic me thing to do.
It really is.
But no, like, it's not frustrating, right? Because to imply that it's frustrating would mean that no positive came from it.
Well, if it was frustrating, it would mean that we see something in her and that we just can't manage to pull it out of her. There's nothing there right now.
Well, no, the point I was going to make was that it's perplexing, I think is the word I'm going to use, because Eva is the object of attention here, like trying to get over, we need to establish her, we want to make her a contender. But again, her opposition always comes out looking better. Yep. You know, Gionna here, I loved her attire, I loved how she worked in there, the crowd responded well to her. I see more of a future in her in one match against Eva than the handful of matches that Eva's had over the course of her time here.
And I feel like we say that every time Eva Marie wrestles, too.
And that's just the mind-boggling thing, because was it Billie Kay or Peyton Royce that she faced? I think it was Peyton Royce, wasn't it?
She's faced both of them.
She's faced both of them, and they both looked fantastic in comparison to her.
Yeah.
You can add Gionna to that list. Like, if anything, maybe Eva does have a place, and it's just to really show off how much better the rest of the roster is than she is. Like, oh, you don't know much about this girl? I'll put her against Eva, and we promise you'll fall in love. Like, I'm really beginning to think that that's her purpose.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that Jasmine Alaribi. I think her NXT name is Noof or something like that. I'm waiting for her to debut against Eva.
I'm telling you, dude, like, I often use the term when I think about a guy like a Christian or a Booker T later in his career, because they have that credibility and they have that ability to really establish and legitimize other people. Eva Marie is a legitimizer in a completely different sense, in that she sucks so bad. She instantly legitimizes her opposition, because it's like, see, they actually have experience and they know what they're doing in there. Don't you appreciate her more than me already? And the answer will always be a resounding yes. Yes, I do. It's mind-boggling, because they're going to keep working on Eva, and yet if I'm Gionna, I'm going to the back and I'm like, wow, they really love me already. I must be really good at this pro wrestling thing. And it's like, well, yeah, better than her. It's crazy, man. You know, Eva gets the win, but I mean, if you're talking about fanfare and making that connection, Gionna, much like all of Eva's opposition, was the real winner here. So, there you go.
Well summed up, my friend.
Thank you.
Can I just say, though,
Yeah.
how he said, oh, Eva Marie has only been in wrestling for 2 years.
Right.
You know who else was only in wrestling for 2 years when she was picked up by WWE and performed?
Who's that?
Sasha.
Fish to water, baby. Fish to water.
I just looked her up while you were on your rant, and she started wrestling in 2010. In August of 2010, she was signed to WWE in June of 2012, so literally like 22 months later, and her heel turn that was really like the switch that made her go from good to great happened, I believe, during the summer of 2013. So 3 years, and she was instantly just boom, top of the line, awesome performer. Eva Marie, your time's running out.
Yeah, I mean, still, the most memorable thing that she's done that I even remotely enjoyed was when she slapped
Jerry Lawler. Yep.
That's it. And that was how long ago? Like, Jesus.
I'm here to make a statement.
That's sound effect, though. Well, dude, I could talk about Jordan and Gable or laugh at Eva Marie all day, but as we said earlier, we've got to move on.
I feel like I put way too much charisma into that statement.
You really did, but it really paid off because it made me smile. So,
up next, speaking of John smiling, up next we had a Tom Phillips interview with Emma and Dana Brooke.
Oh my God!
They both say that they aren't afraid of Asuka, even though she knocked Dana silly after Brooklyn.
First and foremost, I just have to address one of our commenters. I wish I could remember what their username was, but apparently they had a similar reaction to my sadism as you did, and they said, "Wow, John, no wonder Emma left you." There was no leaving. It was a mutually agreed break, all right? Not together at all. But I'll get through it because I'm a consummate professional. Emma,
for somebody going through as much emotional distress as you seem to be, you sure recovered quickly.
Man, I'm just that resilient, I just have that much game going on right now.
You're so strong.
I know. Thank you. It's about time somebody took stock of my quiet intensity.
Your silent rage?
My rage, Alex! Rage!
Wasn't that the name of the 2011 Tough Enough winner, Silent Rage?
Oh, God, was it?
I think it was, yeah.
Oh, God, that's about as pleasing as a fart in the room. But, yeah, I really enjoy...
Oh, it was Alex Foster right here. I'm seeing it. Damn, John, no wonder Emma left you.
Oh, God, why did you make me relive it? Well, yes, Alex Foster, leave is far too much of a caustic term, and I'll have you know that I only cried for...
I like this Alex Foster guy. Banff is his favorite team, too. He and I have that in common.
Oh, do you? Do you really? Well,
yeah.
I'll have Alex Foster know, after his comment, I only cried for 5 minutes, so suck on that! Anyway, but in all seriousness, thank you for commenting. I loved all, and we had two people. I think Caltag started, I think Cam was the other one that said that my sadism would make me, instantly their friends, which is really cool. I think it was those two guys, but so big up to you guys. But, yeah. Emma's work here was great, as usual. I like how they both acknowledged, her and Dana Brooke both said, we respect Asuka. I like that. I like how the heels or the baby faces, if they know they're on a collision course with the opposite side, they give them their due. It's really refreshing to see that, rather than just completely tearing them down. Yeah. But, we need to give Asuka a proper welcome in NXT.
Emma's just the person to do it. I loved that line.
I love that line, too. If I had any nitpick, obviously it doesn't come from Emma's side, because we will reconcile. We will! It comes from Dana Brooke's side.
We're ended up getting the kids.
Honestly, that's not the place to discuss this here. But, Dana Brooke, I think my nitpick comes with her, because I wanted her to keep up the running gag. I beat Asuka, and she didn't say that here, because I've really been enjoying her that, because I've been wanting it to build up to Emma just being like, oh, sweetie, we need to talk. You didn't beat Asuka. So that's kind of what
just show her the Brooklyn film, and just make make Dana Brooke relive the whole experience all over again.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was hoping the payoff would be. But I think if it were to come that way, maybe. And honestly, I don't give WWE enough credit to do this. This would be more of a Lucha Underground thing because Lucha Underground's amazing. But we could have like Emma lose to Asuka, Dana Brooke being like, "Man, you were embarrassing out there. I beat Asuka," and then Emma finally explodes. "No, you didn't. Didn't you even go back and watch the match?" And Dana's like, "No," and then she sees it, and then that's like a chasm between these two guys. But again,
why would you make me watch that again?
Exactly. But I don't give WWE that kind of credit, so these two will probably stay together, which is fine. I think it's good for Dana Brooke, and Emma's just so amazing that she can't be brought down, even by Dana Brooke, who admittedly, I do feel like is starting to put the pieces together. So I can't wait for Emma versus Asuka. It's going to be a great matchup, although Asuka will definitely just rip Emma apart, which is going to be very sad.
No, she's not going to just rip her apart, but she will beat her.
Yeah, she will. She will. All right.
It's kind of like the old John Cena going to Night of Champions. "I'm not trying to beat you, Brock. I'm trying to beat your ass."
Exactly.
Well, Asuka's not going to beat Emma's ass, but she is going to beat her.
Yeah, she is.
It's going to be definitely a competitive match, I think.
I'll agree. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a great back and forth. I would even like to see a spot where Emma gets the Emma lock locked in, but maybe Asuka reaches the ropes or something, is able to withstand.
Or finds a way to reverse it into the Asuka lock.
Now that would be impressive. That would be a statement.
Just grabs Emma by the hair and flips her over.
Yeah, I think. Oh, yeah, certainly agree. I think
kind of like how sometimes when somebody goes to do a pin on Joe, he'll kind of pop him up and lock in the Coquina clutch.
Exactly.
I could totally see Asuka doing that with Emma, where she kind of like pops her hips a little bit and then rolls over, and Emma falls right down on her, right into the Asuka lock.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think this match, I have high expectations for it, but I think it needs that standout moment that really takes Asuka to that next level. Like, wow, did she really just do that, or did she really just endure that, or something along those lines? And I think Emma, like she said, is just the person to do it. So I'm very excited.
So good, dude. You really do need to get her back.
I do. My life's a mess. I've got even.
You got to keep up with that film study. Keep watching Taste of Tennille. You'll eventually get a way to bring her back.
I mean, when we have our own audience playing armchair psychologist with my emotions, and I'm in deep shit. So I need
speaking of the armchair psychologist, Kid Coheed was the other one, other than Caltag Star.
Oh yeah, Kid Coheed, Caltag Star. I love you guys. We'll definitely hang out. We'll laugh at Zach Gowen getting his only leg broken, and Colin Cassidy's career ending. We'll have a good time. And you
my God!
So,
why do you gotta keep on making it seem like Cass is done forever? He's gonna be out for like not even 2 months.
Because that leg was shattered like glass, baby, like glass.
Ben Roethlisberger had a sprained MCL in week 3 of the regular season, and he already returned in week 8.
But is he still a failure in the long?
He's a freaking 2-time Super Bowl champion, so no.
Well, Colin Cassidy wishes he was that talented.
And he has something else in common with Colin Cassidy. They both have a nickname that's Big, insert name here. Big Ben, Big Cass. See, there's something else.
Is there really?
Those are
John,
quite impressive.
Those are quite impressive parallels you drew there. But
I know it's impressive. That's why I did it.
Colin Cassidy should probably just turn on Enzo. Enzo's probably really at fault here. So
I mean, Enzo did get attacked from behind first.
Exactly. What a chump. God.
He does insist on talking the way of the ring every time.
Exactly. Like, watch your back, dude. Where do you think you are? And, and in my opinion, they got exactly what they deserved. Like I said last week as well, Colin Cassidy probably would have said something too. The mechanics were just being preemptive. Let that be a lesson to Colin Cassidy. No apologies here. So, we can.
All right, now that we're done with all our trash talk, let's talk about our main event here. Apollo Crews, Finn Balor, NXT Championship. Solid match, was getting going a little bit. Both guys missed their finishers, and then before you know it, John, Baron Corbin hits the ring, causing a DQ.
It's like, oh, this is a pretty good main event you guys are having. Would be a shame if it abruptly ended. And
Can I just say, I did, to a degree, I did enjoy the main event match before it ended. I think my favorite part, though, was Corbin's attack, because he, we've talked about this before with the Ascension, because they're not very good at it. There are some guys that just plain kind of get how to make a beatdown look good, and some guys that don't. The Ascension, we've always talked about how They're good at making in-ring beatdowns look good, but the backstage stuff where it's just kicks and punches, they're not great at. Baron Corbin is so good at it.
He really is. And you know what?
And it's because of his punches. His worked punches are amazing.
I agree with you. And not to, again, put ourselves up on a high horse or a pulpit, but I really am grateful that you and I both give Corbin, our little slice of the internet, the credit that he deserves.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you look elsewhere, you're just not going to find it. This guy has a huge upside.
And the crazy thing is, too, there was more than just the punches that I noticed tonight. His facial expressions are really good.
He reveled in what he did.
He really did.
I think my favorite part, too, because I agree with you about the war punches, absolutely. I think my favorite part was when Joe comes in and makes a save, and Corbin just looks so proud of himself. Like, he finally made the statement he's been waiting to make.
Corbin's look, to me, was, holy shit, I've been fighting jobbers this whole time, and I just took out the NXT champion like he was one of them.
Exactly.
Like, he's not even that big of a deal. I could take him. I could beat him.
Yes, which fits perfectly with the whole mantra of what Baron Corbin's about. He thinks he's better than these indie guys, and he just laid waste to both of them. Granted, they just had a match, but here's the thing. When you're a heel, that logic doesn't factor into it. All you see is your own dominance.
That's right.
That's all Baron Corbin sees.
Yep.
And this was great. It's funny because
this is so perfect, too, because you even just brought it up. This plays into his character, too. Both of these guys, all commentary was talking about the entire time that they were doing these intros was these guys are both world traveled. They've both won championships on so many continents, and they've both done so much around the world and on the indies and prior to getting to NXT. Baron Corbin's entire thing is he doesn't give a shit what you did before you got to NXT.
Right. Because he runs things around here, and
he wanted to insert his dominance and make a statement, not only that he could take the NXT champion, but that he's better than these indie guys.
Exactly, and you know what? It's funny because I know it's a typical critique, particularly on the main roster and like main pay-per-view shows and this and that. Yeah. When you have a match, it's just starting to hit that second gear. And then somebody comes in and ruins the party. But I think this is great for Corbin's heat, because, these two indie guys were tearing it up. And what everybody loves, two indie guys just going in, doing all the spots, getting the crowd all riled up. And Corbin comes in and he craps all over it. Like, everything about this was perfect. And we haven't even touched on what Samoa Joe did here.
Yeah. And, dude, I was even just getting ready to say, I feel like there were four people involved in some way or another in this main event. All four of them come out of the main event looking stronger than they did before.
Absolutely.
Apollo Crews hung with the champion. That alone is enough to put him on another level than what he was before. Finn Balor withstood attacks from 3 different people. Now, granted, one of the 3 was a match that he was already in, but 3 people total beat up Finn Balor tonight, and he withstood it, and he was standing by the end of the night. He was okay by the end of the night,
Right.
Samoa Joe took out the champ.
Right.
Baron Corbin took out the champ and his challenger. All 4 of these guys were elevated by this match.
And see, Ashton, when you put it like that, because, as you said, Joe does have his turn tonight, which I do think is the right call. When you look at Samoa Joe, I think he does have a natural heel vibe about him, just with his look and his dominance and his, his desire for violence.
Do we think Joe is going to be Balor's opponent at London?
See, now that's what I was about to get to. And honestly, Ashton, even before we're recording, because you and I had some stuff to take care of first, I mulled over that. I think we have a very interesting situation here because you have Baron Corbin do the run-in, which got the match thrown out. So Apollo Crews didn't lose that match. He didn't win it, but he didn't lose it either. You have Baron Corbin, who just made a statement, to your point, taking out both those guys. And you have Joe, who really, by all intents and purposes, should have been in Apollo Crews' place had it not been for Tyler Breeze. That's kind of the hanging question mark. If Tyler Breeze didn't get involved, would Apollo Crews have eliminated Samoa Joe? So all these guys in their own way have a claim to a title shot. Now, where I'm conflicted is, do you put all these elements together for a fatal 4-way, or do you not go that crazy? Do you do a triple threat? You have Joe win the triple threat, and that's how we get to London. I don't know.
And what I was thinking, I was actually thinking you do Corbin Crews and Joe Balor. both of those matches happening in London.
See, now I agree with the end result, because I was going to say, if you do the triple threat, you'd have Joe pin one of the guys, but then they'd resume their beef with each other.
Right.
And like, you get those two matches. So we agree on the end result. I'm just wondering, how do you get there in the meantime? Because London is when? Do you know what date the show is? It's December.
I don't know what the exact date is. I just know it's in December.
I know it's in December as well. So you've
I
got
know
a
last year's December special was on the 11th.
Right. So
just kind of comparing that to this year's calendar and knowing that they like to do them on Saturdays now rather than Wednesdays, it would probably be on the 12th.
Right. So working under that assumption, right, that the next TakeOver special is going to be December 12th.
Which is in 5 weeks, I think.
5 weeks. You know, I think we have a very interesting story to tell here, because obviously Finn is going to want to address the turn of the man who he won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with, and who's just frustrated by the fact that he has not yet received an NXT Championship match. You've got Baron Corbin, who I can't tell you how happy I am to see him in the mix, because it feels like he's been in one gear forever. Even teaming with Rhino, it didn't really seem like he moved anywhere, you know? So it's great to see him finally getting that movement. Cruz, I'm elated for, because, like you said, he hung with the champions, so he was able to take the credibility I think they were looking for him, and they can pull back now thanks to Baron Corbin, and I still think it's a step up for Baron Corbin, because Apollo Crews is certainly preferable to jobbers. So
you know, the crazy thing is, John, I know that I was already saying this about Tyler Breeze. I feel like if we do get Corbin Crews, Corbin needs to win that.
And I would agree. I would agree, because here's the thing. I don't see Joe getting the NXT Championship off of Balor.
No.
And I feel like if Balor gets through Joe, why not already have Corbin waiting for you? Because his whole thing has been, and we've talked about it throughout this segment, he's better than these indie guys. I don't give a shit where you came from. I'm the lone wolf. I'm the king of this place. I run it. And yet Balor could just be like, well, that can't be true because I'm the champion. And you have your collision course. Cruz got what he needed from this. He got his rub. I think you have him have a great match with Corbin, stand, on his own 2 feet, but ultimately falls short. Corbin goes on, gets his title shot, and in the meantime, Cruz can just, keep doing his thing. I'm for me, and maybe it is because I'm a Baron Corbin fan, but I'd also like to think more objectively it's because you and I both see an upside in this guy.
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty sick and tired, and I don't mean to go on an angry rant here because I'm not angry, but I'm getting pretty sick and tired of seeing him in this one gear. When I look at this segment tonight, I finally see a chance for Corbin to elevate, to break out. I don't want them to waste it. So I'm with you completely. I think you do those 2 matches that you said at London, Balor Joe, Corbin Cruz. You have Balor win his match, Corbin win his match, and bam, you've got a future NXT Championship match on a future episode of NXT.
Or, if they really want to build it up, they could just do it on the February live special.
That is a lot of space, so I don't know if they do that, but hell, if anybody could pull it off, it would be NXT, and I think it would be a great
the main reason I say that is because I just have this gut feeling, and I've had it forever, that Hideo is going to take the title from Balor the day before WrestleMania.
Right.
Because they're going to want to do a big NXT live special from whatever city WrestleMania is in the day before WrestleMania happens.
Right. Yeah,
and I think that'll be the main event of that show. Itami versus Balor for the title.
Right. And, but Hideo still hasn't spoken about, who injured him. So Balor can keep playing the babyface for the moment, but, I know, are you still sticking by your guns that it was Balor that did it and we're going to get heel Balor?
It's getting a lot harder to stick by that, but I have to, man. I can't buy into the whole idea that Kevin Owens did it just because, first of all, Owens isn't even around anymore. And second of all, the only person really that would have benefited from that was Finn.
Hey, brother, after you put together that whole thing about Lash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last night, I ain't going to doubt your abilities about predicting things ever again. So I still think you got credence there, man.
Yeah.
But no, I love your thought process. I agree completely. It's funny because it's not often that I enjoy the aftermath of a match more than the actual match itself, but I can honestly say I did here simply because I saw a world of possibility for all 4 guys.
And that's really what it is, too. The match was good, and it was always going to be good just because of the performers involved. But what we were really looking for out of this match was what we can look forward to, and we got a lot of that.
Yeah, completely agree. I've got nothing more to say about this. Do you have
Move
anything
on.
else you want to say about it? All right. High spots and low shots. Let me think here. You know what? I'm going to say that my low shot is Apollo Crews. Had an opportunity. Yeah, had an opportunity at the NXT Championship, and through no fault of his own, it slipped through his fingers. Baron Corbin had to get involved and ruin his party. Like, it seemed like it could have been Apollo Crews' night, and Baron Corbin said, not today. So Apollo Crews will have to be my low shot.
Here's the thing, though, John. Apollo Crews might have lost and then gotten beaten down, but at least he lost to the NXT champion. My low shot is Angelo Dawkins.
Yes.
He lost to Bull Dempsey, and he lost the respect of his possibly current, possibly former tag team partner in the meantime.
Yeah, rough night, man. Rough night indeed.
Yep.
You know what? In that same vein, though, I'm going to say that my honorary high spot would be this Gionna. I'm going to give her a little bit of love. I thought she did, great for, what she was given, and the crowd responded positively to her. Maybe there's a future there. I'm so invested in the NXT.
I think she's actually on the NXT roster, too. I don't think she's one of these, like, New Zealand, Australian girls that they just bring in for a tryout on NXT. I think she's actually on the roster.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Because I'm so invested in the NXT women's division anymore, bro. Like, I was just really happy to see her.
Yeah, and speaking of the NXT women's division, you know who I can't freaking wait to see?
Who's that?
Athena.
Yes, dude. You know what? It's on me because I keep forgetting about her, and I shouldn't because she's so good. That's all on me. But yes, I agree with you. But my actual high spot in that same vein, I got to give it to Baron Corbin.
Okay.
And for no other reason, he's finally moving. Like, finally. I hope. Because, again, even if it is just Baron Corbin, can't face himself, obviously. Even if it's Apollo Crews, it's still a major step up from just squashing nobodies each and every week. So I'm happy for Baron. I think things are finally, moving in his direction.
Yep.
I don't care what the majority of people say, and I'm glad that you and I are in agreement about it. That's always something I can take solace in. I think Baron Corbin's awesome. I think he's got the tools. He's putting it together. He's my high spot.
Absolutely, yeah. He's so underrated by the internet fans just because they're all so obsessed with work rate that they don't necessarily see the character work.
Exactly.
So my high spot is going to go to a team that didn't have any in-ring work tonight at all. They didn't even wrestle a match. But what they did do was entertain. And what they did do was make themselves memorable, make themselves people that you could look forward to. And that is Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. These guys, they're so good. And they're so entertaining. And the fact that they're even teasing the whole world's greatest tag team thing and the frickin' Kurt Angle chance that they get from the crowd, it's so meta. They are so aware of how good they are, and it's not even a cocky heel thing. It's just we're damn good and we know it kind of thing.
Dude, first of all, I'm so glad you picked them to be your high spot because I think if it came from me, it would have been so transparent. Like, who didn't see that coming? So that's really cool. But like, I'm never gonna contend that ever in any possible universe ever. I mean, these guys are just amazing. I love them to death. They're my favorite act, period. Just going right now in the WWE. Again, it brings me back to that childhood age. I love technical wrestling. I love mat wrestling and the personality of these two guys. And I agree with you about your comments of their promo style, at least in this promo, being meta and all that stuff. It's just great that they know everything going on around them, but they pay it mind in a way that's subtle. Yeah. Great stuff tonight. And a shout out to Ecstasy. Like, I think he likes these guys too. He wants the Jordan and Gable, because everybody's like, these guys need a team name. He wants them to be called the Varsity Club, and he wants like Mike Rotunda to be their coach, because I think Mike Rotunda may have actually brought Jason Jordan in, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not opposed to that, but you know what? Here's my thing, and just a final comment that I think is relevant here, because they were your high spot. I don't want too much going on at once for these guys, because I think what they've got going on right now is fantastic, and I don't want them to like dilute what they've got by being too much like, oh, look how amateur wrestling we are.
I mean, I don't mind the Varsity Club name, but to me, why would you want to give these guys another mouthpiece? They are so good.
They are so good on their own, and here's the thing, like, and this is coming from the guy that, again, loves the mat wrestling, loves technical wrestling, all that. Let the affinity for that and let, the fact that they're about that come naturally. Yeah. Don't force it. You know, and I think that's the thing. As much as I like the idea from a creative perspective, I think long term, if you do packaging like that, you're kind of forcing it and you're just kind of boiling them down to that, where for as much as I love them for it, that's still just one aspect of who they are. They're also incredibly charismatic, especially, again, Gable, individuals. And I don't want that to be, masked under, look at our collegiate backgrounds, look at how good we are. They can do that naturally. So
yeah, I feel like if they were going to do that kind of thing, it would almost be for a heel gimmick. Like, they take it really over the top. Like, hey guys, did you know that we're really good at wrestling?
Exactly. Like, I'm an Olympian. What are you? Nothing. That's right.
WWE superstar. Yeah, so's everyone here. There's nothing special about that word anymore.
So true. But you're absolutely, and you know what, Ashton, that's a point I didn't even consider, and I want to thank you for making it. You're right. I think even when you hear the presentation, it does sound like something they do. Like, maybe even if they won the titles and then they wanted to, like, turn heel as a way to, like, hang on, and then they bring in this coach as, like, an advisor or whatever. It's like, you're champions now. It's all new responsibility. But I think for what they're doing now, it's just so good because you got Gable shilling the towel and they're just having a great time. They talk to each other during the matches, which is great. I love that, by the way. It's the little
like
things,
they
too.
hand off and thank you.
Welcome. And, like, it's the little things.
That's
These
the thing,
guys.
though. I think that's mostly Gable, though, because I noticed he talks to his opponents, too.
Yeah.
Like, I caught him when he was doing, like, almost like a modified arm drag to Tommaso Ciampa last week. He said, "See ya," and then whipped him over. He's really good.
I love when he's controlling an arm, too, and he looks at Jordan, he's like, should I break it? Like, but with, like, that childlike glee. Not even malicious, but just like, I know I'm so good, I could break this arm if I wanted to. You want to see me? Do you want to? Like,
it's really good.
We
spent the last, 8 minutes talking about my high spots, so yeah, I think I made the right call here.
Exactly, and you know what? 8 minutes isn't nearly enough, but I'm going to wrap it up.
And the irony is that you were going to pick them, but my original high spot was going to be Baron Corbin, so we just switched.
We did, and you know what? I actually prefer it that way. I do, because I've shown these guys enough love, throughout the past week. I didn't even, say this in the review, and I know Ashton was astounded by it. I've gone back now, and I've watched their match with Gargano and Ciampa, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, dude, I've seen it at least 3 times, too.
Yeah, multiple times. You and I have gone back and watched it, just so good. But, guys, with that, obviously you could tell that TWitWoW here is ready, willing, and Gable for anything those two guys do. But with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what are your questions for our subscribers this week?
I've got 2 questions this week, John.
All right.
First of all, I want someone, anyone really, I don't care how many or who, I want as many perspectives on this as I can for science. Why in the blue hell would Bayley pick the Hype Bros over Hideo Itami? And question number 2, knowing that she's only been around for 2 years, do you think that Eva Marie will ever be good enough to be accepted by the NXT audience?
Ooh, see, that's the one I'm intrigued by. I would love some feedback on that question.
You mean you're not intrigued by the science behind Bayley's idiocy?
I feel like I'm more interested in that in the sense that it could help ease your pain, because I know you're in a lot of pain right now, knowing that, Hideo Itami got snubbed in favor of the Hype Bros, which, I mean, really, when you think about it, Ashton, that means that Hideo Itami got snubbed in favor of Mojo Rawley. I mean, just think about that. You know that
feeling you get when your dad says he's going to the grocery store and then he never comes back?
Actually, probably more than you realize. Yes, I do.
Because that's kind of how I feel about Bayley right now.
Hey, Daddio, you interested to be my partner? Oh, sorry, I already teamed with the Hype Bros. You got back to me too late. Oh, man. But yeah, guys, answer the man's questions. I'm intrigued by both of them. But yeah, again, the Eva one, let's really get the opinions of our subscriber base there. Guys, be sure to join TWitWoW. It's an amazing pro wrestling group. Share your thoughts there. A lot of NXT fans. Not too many Eva Marie supporters, so I can answer that one right there for you in regards to TWitWoW. But if you don't like a big cluster, if you don't like everything going on at once, you want something a bit more subdued, but still having activity at the same time, you would find the perfect sweet spot in the TWitWoW subreddit that Ashton created. It's a slowly growing community. I think we have 20 members right now, Ashton. I think you last told me. So it's a nice little niche group of people who love what we do, and we love you guys right back. And there you'll see all of our TWitWoW content, and have the
if you are already on Reddit and you post anything in the TWitWoW subreddit, it's free karma because I upvote everything in there.
There you go. And again, you guys can create threads directed at Asher and myself on all things pro wrestling. Maybe you can flip the script and ask us some questions. I mean, you have that power, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So, guys, until then, we will see you again for our next Luchador Spotlight. We'll be talking about Tejano. Going to be some interesting possibilities discussed there. If that's not really what you're in for, we'll see you next week for our NXT review. All right, so until then, tune in and peace out.